CBS News has exclusively learned House Republicans' campaign arm is celebrating a record-breaking fundraising haul to kick off the 2016 midterm cycle. The chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee says it raised $47.1 million in the first 3 months of this year. According to the NRCC, this is the largest amount the committee has ever brought in during the first quarter of any year. But what does this all mean? Joining us now are Chuck Rocha and Carrie Lukas. Chuck is a CBS News political contributor and former senior advisor for Senator Bernie Sanders' 2016 and 2020 presidential campaigns. Carrie is the president of the conservative-leaning nonprofit Independent Women. A good Monday morning to you both. Carrie, let's start with you, since you've got apparently the good news. How strong of a start is this for Republicans with fewer than 7 months to go until the midterms?
Yeah, it's absolutely encouraging, and I think it runs counter to the narrative that Republicans have these terrible prospects in November. As you said, we still have several months to go, which is a lifetime in politics. So there's a lot of reasons for conservatives to be encouraged.
And Chuck, we don't have Democrats' fundraising numbers for the first quarter of the year just yet, so we don't really have an apples-to-apples comparison, but the most recent figures show that they are trailing Republicans. Is that something you are concerned about, Democrats need to be concerned about? How do you explain that?
The election law is changing a lot as we're moving into the election because of different rulings that have happened. One case in particular is it's going to be much easier for a candidate to buy TV at a much lower rate. I know I'm getting in, but you wanted some strategists to talk strategy, so we're going to talk strategy. If the campaigns are raising money at the campaign level, they get a lower rate, and right now Democrats are dramatically outraising Republicans. But the real question here is, because let's not forget, and let's give Republicans some credit here, Donald Trump has a $300 million super PAC. This is the biggest difference between what we're seeing right now and what we saw in 2018. All the headwinds are headed towards the Democrats. You can see that in every special election. You can see it in everything that's happening in all the polling. You can see it in everything that's happening with momentum. But the Republicans have a massive amount of money, and if that's at their advantage, the real question begins, does that money equal results?
I'm sure we will see that play out in the months ahead. I want to ask you both about another interesting moment from Friday and into the weekend. The president signed an executive order easing research restrictions for psychedelics, for some psychedelics. And he was joined in the Oval Office by Joe Rogan, who told the press about how he brought the president's attention to this issue. Let's listen to that.
I want to tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick.
So, Chuck, let's start with you. What does this tell us about who the president listens to when it comes to big decisions, even if they're like Joe Rogan and have been critical toward Trump's ideas?
Joe Rogan has over 20 million followers across his platforms. The 20 million is just his YouTube audience. He has a huge impact. And just this week, he called Donald Trump's war crazy. He said this thing that we're living through with gas prices is even more crazy. But because of the power of his influence, it says something about where we are in a multimedia culture where Donald Trump, even Donald Trump, who understands culture and politics maybe better than any president we've ever seen, again, a Democrat saying that, he understands the power that Joe Rogan has, and Republicans are desperate to try to find relevance as we move into the midterms, and I think that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now.
And Carrie, one thing we thought was interesting is that Rogan has been critical, as Chuck just mentioned, of the president's handling of the war with Iran. So what do you make of his decision to invite him into the Oval Office and give such a big bear hug, as it were?
Well, this has been a priority of the president's going back to his first term under what was called the right to try legislation that's trying to make it easier for patients to get access to emerging therapies, to cut down on the red tape. So this is an issue that the president cares about. And yeah, of course, the president knows that Joe Rogan has an incredible audience. They're not going to agree on everything. That was never the expectation. That wasn't true. I mean, they didn't agree on everything during the campaign when Rogan kind of threw his support behind President Trump. So the president's playing the long game here and recognizing that he should link arms when he can with potential allies, even if it doesn't require total alignment on every issue.
All right, Chuck Rocha and Carrie Lukas, we appreciate you joining us this Monday. Thanks for your time.